Hello, MI gang. So we are going to go through how to analyze an audiogram from a patient summary in this video, because I know there is some difficulty when doing that. So I'm going to do two patients and what their audiograms should look like. So hopefully that helps. So the first patient I'm going to do is Sue Smith, because we know a lot about her. So reading this says, patient 4 is an 18-year-old college freshman who just recovered from a bacterial meningitis infection. She has not noticed any difficulties hearing, but she was referred to an audiologist by her primary care physician because the primary care physician thought that she might potentially have hearing damage as a result of her meningitis infection. And the audiologist found that she has mild and low frequency sensory neural hearing loss in both ears. So that last sentence is like telling you pretty much everything that you need to know. The first part is just some contextual information. So I made this diagram to hopefully help you think about what we need to do for each patient. So I remember reading that Sue's hearing loss is mild. It's also at a low frequency and that it's sensory neural, not noodle. Okay, so if I go to this, we know that she has mild hearing loss, which this says that is around 21 to 40 decibels. And I believe the hearing loss is in both ears. So we're looking for mild hearing loss in both ears. And remember that on audiograms, red is the right ear and blue is the left ear. So I'm just going to try to plot where Sue might be on here to help myself kind of figure out where she might be on the graphs. So I know that we're not going to have any differences in the right and the left ear in terms of what they really look like, because she has the same kind of hearing loss in both ears. So that means that we can be looking for something specific. So she has mild hearing loss specifically at low frequencies. So low frequencies are over here on the left side of the horizontal axis, and high frequencies are on the right. That's how it'll just be on an audiogram represented by numbers, but I'm just simplifying it. And then hearing loss gets worse the more you have to crank up the volume, right? So if you have a grandpa that can't hear anything and we tell him to turn up his hearing aid because he can't hear, that's him amplifying the sound, making it louder. So Sue is mild. She's got low frequency. So I think that Sue is going to be in the mild range here, right? But then all of the rest of her stuff should kind of be more normal. So I would expect to see two lines, red and blue, showing that she has mild hearing loss at low frequencies. So I'm just mapping out in general what I think it might look like. So now I'm going to go over here and look at these graphs. Definitely not A or B because there's a big drop in B. Okay, maybe patient C because she's, or whoever this patient is, has like some lower values and then it goes back up. That's the same general trend. Not this one, not this one, not this one. Okay, this does have the dip, but it's very drastic. Not this one, not this one, and not this one, because they all kind of don't follow the same pattern, right? We should expect two lines to kind of follow each other, specifically at low frequencies. So that tells me that this patient is patient 4, which is Sue. Okay, so then I'm going to go back and clear all of this jazz out. We're going to do another one. All right, so let's look for someone with conductive hearing loss. Okay, so patient 10. Sorry, my face is in the way. Patient 10 is a 24-year-old female. She has otosclerosis, which is an inherited disorder in which an abnormal sponge-like bone grows in the middle of the ear. Awful. Her mother also had otosclerosis and became deaf by the time she was 45. Both of the patient's ears have been affected by the disorder, and an audiologist confirmed that she has progressive, mild to moderate conductive hearing loss in both ears. So again, this is pretty similar in that all of the stuff we actually need to know is in the last sentence. So she's got progressive, mild to moderate, progressive, mild to moderate hearing loss, both ears, and it's conductive. So there are only a few patients on this resource sheet that have conductive hearing loss, and I wanted to make sure I explained to you how you can tell the difference between conductive and sensory neural. So if we have conductive hearing loss, you should be looking for these little lines. You'll see that some graphs have bone conduction, like this one, but some graphs do not. Your biggest indicator if it's going to be a conductive hearing loss is going to be if it has the bone conduction, because that's how we differentiate. In the activity, it tells you that the way that you differentiate is if bone conduction is at least 10 decibels higher than air conduction, which is what we are measuring here with these red and blue lines. So this person right here seems to have pretty decent hearing in their left ear, nothing major, and the bone conduction is pretty similar. But you can see that the right ear has significantly lower lines compared to the bone conduction. So I know that this person has a conductive hearing loss because of that. The air conduction is about 10 decibels lower. But that doesn't really fit our patient because our patient has hearing loss in both ears, right? So I'm going to be looking for someone else, like this person maybe, who has conductive hearing loss. And you can see that the left ear is in the 30 to 40 range, which is mild. And then their right ear is in the 50 range, which is moderate. And I can tell that they've got bone conduction issues, right? So it's kind of harder to map this one out because we need to know what the bone conduction is. But we could have said, okay, we know that they have, generally speaking, some issues with mild to moderate across all frequencies, and would expect some lines like that. And it's progressive, so it's kind of getting worse over time. But like I said, the way that you can really tell if something is conductive is by this bone conduction thing. So I don't think we have any more patients with conductive hearing loss. So that tells me that patient 10, worst 10 I've ever seen, is corresponding to audiogram F. So I hope that helps. I would maybe write down this chart in your lab journal just because I think it's a helpful quick reference for you in terms of like, how can I maybe map out what I'm looking for with these patients? So I hope that helps.